Alright, how you guys doing today? This is Mr. Muscarella coming at you, and in this video, we're going to take a look at the ambiguous case for the law of sines to help us solve oblique triangles. If you don't remember what an oblique triangle is, it just means a triangle that is not right. Now, one of the first things that you want to do is when you see the direction solve the triangle, you want to think to yourself, I have to determine if there are 0, 1, or 2 triangles, and then after that, I've got to find all the missing stuff for each one of the triangles. Now, speaking of stuff, let's go ahead and get our calculator stuff sorted out so that we're ready to go. First thing you want to do is get your calculator set up so that it will round to the 10th place and is in the degree mode. Speaking of degrees, in order to find a degree symbol, you want to use the second apps button to get to the angle menu. Now, if you're using a regular TI-83, then there is no apps button. What you have to do is hit second and then the matrix button. Now that your calculator's set up, let's go ahead and take a look at some other review stuff. This is all prerequisite knowledge, things you guys should totally know. First, you should know the sum of 3 interior angles of a triangle is 180. Next thing that you need to know is that supplementary angles have a sum of 180 degrees. So if you're given one angle, you can find its supplement very quickly and easily. And then the last thing you need to know is the domain restriction for inverse sine or arcsine is from -1 to 1, which means when you're using your calculator, when you type in arcsine of blop, that blop, whatever the value is of the blop, that's got to be within that domain restriction of -1 to 1. Alright, so let's take a look at our first example. Here it says solve the triangle with the given information. A is 9, B is 5, and the measure of angle A is 49 degrees. Now there's 2 steps right off the bat that I want you to do. First thing is draw a triangle to represent the situation. The second thing is to make this chart here. And this chart is going to help us later on down the road when we get into some more complicated things. But it's really going to allow us to see everything in one nice, neat, and organized spot. So organize a chart just like this, filling in your given information. Go ahead and pause, then when you got everything down, come on back and we'll finish up with the rest of it. Alright, welcome back. Now we've got our chart filled out. What we're going to do to actually solve this, we'll take a look at the information that we have, and when we take a look around this particular triangle here, this side right here, side CB, that's one side that we're given, and then AC is another side, and then we have angle A over here. So we have this side-side angle situation, which is going to tell us that we're working with the ambiguous case for the law of sines. Now that's what's going to help us solve this problem is the law of sines. So what we're going to do is actually we're going to take this to start with, and we're going to write down sine A over A equals sine B over B, because we have both A and B, the side lengths, so we're going to use this piece of the law of sines proportion. From here, it's pretty straightforward. Just go ahead and substitute in the values that you have. Next, when you cross multiply, you'll end up with sine B equals 5 sine 49 degrees over 9. And then lastly, you'll end up with the measure of sine B, or measure of angle B, equals arcsine of 5 sine 49 over 9. Now remember, when you're going to find angle B, just make sure you take your time, type everything into your calculator correctly, and you should come up with a value of about 27.8 degrees. Now once you know that that's what the measure of angle B is, and notice I've got this little subscript right here because that's going to denote case number 1, that possibility. So we're going to fill in that 27.8 right here in our chart. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add up 49 and 27.8 and subtract that sum from 180, and that'll give us the measure of angle C. When we do that, we end up with 103.2 degrees. And that's all well and good. So we've got just about everything for our first triangle. We just have to find side C still. But before we do that, what I want to do is test this to see if there is a possible second triangle. And the way that you do that, this B1 that we found, this first angle that we found, what we're going to do is take that angle and we're going to find its supplement. And if you remember what supplement it means, that means you're going to subtract 27.8 from 180. That gives us a value of 152.2 degrees. So of course, now notation-wise, we have B2 because that's going to stand for case number 2. We'll put that into our chart, and then what we're going to do is we're actually going to add these two numbers together, 49, 152.2, and those two, their sum's already more than 180 degrees. So that means I don't have to worry about finding a second case because there is none, which means the number of possible triangles for this situation is just 1. Now that I know that the number of possible triangles is 1, what I'm going to do next is actually find out what the length of side C is. Now to find the length of side C, all right, so we're going to give ourselves a little bit more room here. What we're going to do is actually just kind of start with A over sine A equals C over sine C. We're going to use that proportion right there. And we're always going to use the given information. That's why we have A over sine A and not the B over sine B part. Next, it's pretty straightforward. You just substitute everything in. Then you cross multiply. And of course, when you plug all of that into your calculator, you get a whopping value of 11.6. So you end up with 11.6 for the value of C, or the length of side C. So we'll fill 11.6 in our chart for the length of side C, and that's it. We're done with this problem. All right, thanks for watching. If you need some more, we've got examples on no triangles as well as 2 triangles, so be sure you check those out just to make sure you know how to do those as well. Thanks for watching. You guys have a great day. Peace out.